The dense jungle air clung to Lieutenant Anya Petrova's skin, a wet, suffocating blanket. Her platoon, the 12th Frontier Scouts, moved with the predator's silence through the vines. But their eyes held the look of prey. For 6 days, the unseen stalkers had hunted them, picking off 2 of their own from such impossible distances and angles that the word sniper felt inadequate. These were ghosts, their weapons making no more sound than a sigh. The mission to extract a downed xenobotanist from the quarantined moon of Lyra, 7B, had become a desperate, collapsing fight for survival against an enemy they'd never even glimpsed. Sergeant Cruz, a veteran of the Martian trenches, checked his motion tracker for the 100th time. Nothing. Still nothing. He whispered, the static hiss underscoring their dread. It's like they're not even here. Anya adjusted the grip on her standard-issue pulse rifle, its weight suddenly childish in her hands. She said nothing. They didn't realize she was armed with more than just the weapon she carried. They didn't know about the silent, symbiotic lattice woven into her nervous system during a long-buried Black Ops program, a secret she carried like a scar. They didn't realize that to Anya Petrova, the jungle wasn't just terrain, it was a sheet of glass, and the snipers hiding upon it were about to become perfectly visible targets. The first shot took Kessler as they tried to cross a river of black, sluggish water. There was no crack, no flash, just a wet punch, and the comms specialist crumpled into the stream, a dark bloom flowering on his chest. Panic, cold, and immediate seized the platoon. They scrambled for the far bank, firing blindly into the green wall. Anya hit the mud behind a fallen log, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. She forced a breath, then another. Shut it down, she commanded herself. She closed her eyes, not in prayer, but to initiate a sequence. In the darkness behind her lids, a neural command, dormant for years, flickered to life. Arachne protocol. Active. A tingling wave spread from her spine, a sensation like 1,000 spiders weaving silk along her nerves. When she opened her eyes, the world had changed. The chaotic green resolved into layers of data. Thermal signatures of her platoon glowed orange-yellow. The ambient sound of dripping water, distant animal calls, and panicked breathing parsed into separate audio streams in her mind. And there, etched across her enhanced vision like a flaw in a diamond, was the faint, almost invisible contrail of a hypersonic round, its path leading back to a source. 200 meters northeast, elevated 30 degrees. A cool, clean geometric solution in a world of terror. Cruz, she hissed in her comms, her voice eerily calm. Northeast, 200, in the canopy of the split-root tree. He's settling for a second shot on Martinez. Cruz didn't question. He lobbed a concussive grenade in a high arc. The explosion shook the trees, and a distorted, insect-like figure clad in adaptive camouflage tumbled, crashing through branches before hitting the ground with a final thud. The platoon stared then at Anya. She was already scanning, her head moving with a smooth, mechanical precision. There are more, she said, her voice flat. Many more. They're not just snipers. They're a network hive. You see one, you're already in the sights of 3 others. The rescue mission was over. The extraction was now of her own team. And the hunt, she decided, as the Arachne system highlighted 3 more lurking thermal shadows in a wide perimeter, was about to be reversed. Anya moved like smoke. She had shed her heavy pack, taking only ammunition and a long-barreled precision rifle she had taken from Private Vance, their own fallen marksman. To her platoon, she gave simple, absolute orders. Dig in here. Create a defensive noise bubble. Fire random patterns. Make them think we're all still here, terrified and pinned. Cruz grabbed her arm. Lieutenant, where are you going? You can't engage snipers on their own ground. She met his gaze, and he flinched. Her eyes held no fear, no fury, just a frightening, analytical clarity. I'm not engaging them on their ground, Sergeant, she said, gently removing his hand. I'm pulling them onto mine. She slipped into the undergrowth and vanished. Her world was now a tactical overlay. The Arachne system, a forbidden fusion of human wetware and stolen alien sensor tech painted the battlefield. She saw the microwave pulses of their silent communication, thin threads linking each sniper position. She saw the slight atmospheric distortions from their cloaking fields. She saw the world not as matter, but as information. The first one, position west, was tracking the platoon's fake movements. Anya circled, her steps finding silent purchase on stone and root. She climbed a rocky outcrop, becoming a statue. She didn't aim with her eyes alone. The system calculated wind, humidity, even the Coriolis effect on this moon. She exhaled halfway, and the rifle spoke its single sharp word. The distant, camouflaged figure jerked and went still. The network hive reacted instantly. The communication threads flared with activity. Two other snipers shifted their aim, searching for the source. They looked for a muzzle flash, for a thermal bloom. They found nothing. Anya was already gone, a ghost in the machine she had become. The second sniper, realizing his comrade was dead, began a disciplined retreat. Anya anticipated his fallback route, moving laterally at a speed that would have been reckless blindness for anyone else. She intercepted his path, waiting behind a curtain of phosphorescent moss. As he passed, a silent pulse from her sidearm to his neck ended him. The clock in her mind's eye ticked. For minutes in, the hive was now alarmed, shifting from a hunting pattern to a search and destroy. The ambush she had predicted came at the 5-minute mark. They had pinpointed her general area and saturated it with subsonic flechettes designed to shred vegetation and anything hiding within it. Anya was not hiding. She was moving through the kill zone in a low, darting crouch, the Arachne system predicting the probabilistic spread of the flechette clouds and showing her the safe lanes between them. It was a dance with death, every step pre-calculated. She emerged from the shredded foliage, rolling behind a massive petrified stump. Two snipers had moved in close, believing her trapped. They communicated with quick hand signals, their forms shimmering in the dappled light. They were professional, efficient, and utterly unprepared for what she was. Anya didn't use a rifle. She threw a small data spike grenade, standard issue for disabling electronics. It burst with a silent, EMP-like wave tuned to the frequency of their cloaking and comms networks. For a second, their camouflage flickered and died, revealing two startled, chitinous-faced aliens in form-fitting suits. Their moment of shock was a lifetime. 2 quick shots and they fell. 6 down. The remaining 2 in the network went fully dark, severing their communication threads. They were the most experienced, the pack leaders. They would now be hunting her purely on instinct and skill. Anya felt a warning throb in her temple. The Arachne system was straining, her body burning through energy and neurotransmitters at a catastrophic rate. She pushed the pain aside, focusing on the new puzzle. These 2 wouldn't run. They would set a trap only a fellow predator would understand. She found it near the original crash site of the botany pod. One sniper had positioned himself as obvious bait, covering the main approach. The other was the true killer, hidden in a shadowed crevasse above, covering the bait. A classic bodyguard sniper trap. Anya smiled, a thin, cold curve of her lips. She gave the bait exactly what he wanted, a glimpse, a fleeting shadow of movement near a cluster of fungal towers. The bait sniper fired, his round tearing through the spot. The hidden killer, disciplined, waited for a better shot. Anya had never been where the bait had fired. She had been above him, clinging to the side of a giant leaf, having scaled a route the system deemed 98.7% improbable. She saw the hidden killer now, a perfect outline against the cooler rock. The shot was difficult, through a gap in the crystalline structures. The system provided the solution. She took it. The 7th sniper died without a sound. The bait, realizing his protector was gone, spun in panic. Anya dropped silently behind him. "You hunted my people," she whispered, her voice raw from disuse and strain. He turned, and she saw not a monster, but a soldier, his multi-lensed eyes wide with a fear she recognized. She ended it quickly. 12 minutes. Silence, true and heavy, descended upon the jungle. The walk back to her platoon's position was the longest of Anya Petrova's life. The high of the Arachne system bled away, leaving behind a bone-deep ache and a trembling weakness that made every step an ordeal. The world returned to normal, muted, blurry, terribly loud yet quiet. As she stumbled into the defensive perimeter, rifles snapped toward her before shifting away, the faces of her soldiers a mixture of awe, relief, and a dawning terror. Cruz approached, his eyes searching hers. The analytical fire was gone, replaced by a hollow exhaustion. "The area is clear," she said, her voice a ragged thread. "The network is broken." They secured the botanist from her pod and made for the extraction point in a tense, silent rush. No one spoke of the 12 minutes. No one asked how she did it. The story would become legend later, polished and exaggerated in the retelling. The ghost of Lyra, 7B, the woman who turned into a weapon and wiped out a Vexian sniper hive in under a quarter of an hour. On the shuddering transport ship heading back to the carrier, Cruz sat beside her in the dim hold. He handed her a stim capsule. She took it with a nod. He didn't look at her. "That thing inside you, that program. It's what they washed you out for, isn't it? Not failure." Anya stared at the grimy deck plating, seeing not metal, but the geometric paths of lethal solutions. "They called it an ethical breach," she murmured, so low only he could hear. "Too powerful, too dehumanizing. They try to bury it, and me with it." She finally looked at him, the lieutenant returning to her eyes. "Don't report the specifics, Cruz. Just say we got lucky." He held her gaze for a long moment, then nodded once. He understood. Some weapons were too dangerous to acknowledge, even in victory. As the carrier's massive bay doors swallowed their shuttle, Anya leaned her head back and closed her eyes. In the darkness, she didn't see data or solutions. She saw 8 falling figures. She had used the ghost they tried to bury to fight ghosts, and it had saved her people. But as the adrenaline faded, a cold thought settled in. She had remembered what it felt like to be the perfect, thinking part of a gun. And a part of her, a part she feared she could never bury again, had found it felt like coming home. The transport ship was loud and shook a lot. The seats were hard. Anya Petrova sat very still. She looked at her hands. They were clean now. The dirt from the jungle was gone. But she could still feel it. She could still feel the rifle in her hands. She could still see the lines and numbers in her mind where she closed her eyes. Her platoon was around her. No one was talking. Some men were sleeping. Some were just staring at the wall. Sergeant Cruz sat next to her. He did not sleep. He did not stare. He just sat. He was waiting. After a long time, the ship landed inside the big carrier ship called the Vigilance. The doors opened with a hiss. Bright light from the carrier bay hurt their eyes. They walked out. Medics rushed forward. They started checking the wounded. Officers were there too. They had serious faces. A man in a neat uniform walked up to Anya. He was a captain. His name was Voss. He was not from her unit. He worked for carrier security. "Lieutenant Petrova," Sergeant Cruz. "Come with me, please. The debriefing will start now." His voice was polite. It was also firm. It was not a request. Anya looked at Cruz. Cruz gave a small nod. They followed Captain Voss. They did not go to the normal briefing rooms. They went deeper into the carrier. The halls became quieter. The lights were a cool white. They entered a small room. It had a table and 3 chairs. A recorder sat on the table. "Please sit," Captain Voss said. He did not sit. He stood by the door. "Can I get you some water?" "No, thank you, sir," Anya said. Her voice was flat. "Very well. Let's begin. Tell me about the mission on Lyra 7B. Start from the drop." Anya began to speak. She gave the facts. The drop. The move toward the botanist's signal. The first silent attack that killed Reynolds. The second that took Vance. The growing fear. The feeling of being hunted by ghosts. Captain Voss listened. He wrote nothing down. The recorder got it all. "And then you reached the river," he said. "Yes, sir." "And that is where you engaged the enemy." "Yes, sir." "Tell me about that engagement, Lieutenant. Be specific." Anya kept her eyes on the wall behind him. "We determined there was a hostile sniper in a tree to the northeast. Sergeant Cruz deployed a conclusive grenade. It eliminated the threat. One threat, Captain Voss said. But your report says 8 hostiles were neutralized. Yes, sir. By your platoon. The platoon provided a defensive base of fire. A move to flank the enemy positions. Alone. Yes, sir. Captain Voss was quiet for a moment. He picked up a datapad. He looked at it. Lieutenant, the Vexian sniper units are a top-tier threat. They're a network hive. Engaging one is difficult. Engaging 8 without heavy support or orbital scan is considered impossible. Yet you did it in 12 minutes. Can you explain how? Anya felt a coldness in her stomach. She had prepared for this. I used the terrain. They were focused on the platoon. I broke their network by taking out their communicators. It caused confusion. I got lucky. Luck. Captain Voss repeated the word. It sounded strange in the quiet room. He put the datapad down. Lieutenant, we recovered the bodies. The shots. Every single one was a perfect kill. Center mass or head. Threw cover on 2 of them. In a dense jungle. In 12 minutes. That is not luck. That is beyond any marksmanship score in the fleet. I had good training, sir. Not this good. No one is. Captain Voss leaned on the table. His voice became lower. There are rumors, Lieutenant. From your early service. A black operations program. Something called Arachne. The word hung in the air. It felt like a physical blow. Anya did not move a muscle. She kept her face empty. I'm not familiar with that term, sir. Captain Voss watched her. He watched her for a long time. She did not look away. Very well. He said, straightening up. The debrief is over for now. You are both restricted to the carrier. Do not speak to the media. Do not discuss mission details with anyone. A full inquiry board will convene in 48 hours. Dismissed. Anya and Cruz stood up. They walked out of the room. A young ensign led them to temporary quarters. They were small rooms next to each other. When the ensign left, Cruz turned to her. His face was grim. They know. They suspect. Anya Kuraktit. They have no proof. The program was scrubbed. All records were buried. They have the bodies, Anya. Cruz said. They will piece it together. They will want that weapon. Let them want. Anya said. She felt very tired. It is not a weapon they can have. It is a curse. She went into her room and closed the door. She sat on the bed. She tried to quiet her mind. But the silence was worse. In the silence, she saw the shots. She saw the lines. She felt the cool, perfect calm of the Arachne system. A part of her missed it. That was the most frightening thing. The next day passed slowly. News of the mission had spread through the carrier. The story was wild. They called her the Angel of Death, the Ghost Killer. When she walked to the mess hall, people stared. They whispered. Some looked at her with awe, others with fear. She saw Cruz at a table. She sat with him. He pushed a data pad toward her. It showed a news feed. The headline said, Frontier Scouts survive impossible ODDS. Heroic Lieutenant saves platoon. They are making you a hero. Cruz said, they're making me a target. Anya said softly, for the Vex. For our own people who want to know how. As they ate, a woman approached their table. She wore a simple shipsuit. She had short hair and sharp eyes. She did not look like a soldier. Lieutenant Petrova. My name is Dr. Ilara Vance. I am with Fleet Psych Evaluation. I would like to speak with you. At your convenience, of course. Anya looked at her. Psych Evaluation. This was a new approach. Of course, doctor. Now is fine. They went to a small office. It had a couch and a chair. Dr. Vance sat in the chair. She did not use a recorder. How are you sleeping, Lieutenant? Sleep fine. Any dreams? Nightmares? No. Dr. Vance nodded. She made a note on an old-fashioned paper pad. You experienced a severe traumatic event. You took multiple lives. It is normal to have a reaction. I understand. Anya said, do you feel any guilt? No. Any pride? No. What do you feel? Anya was quiet. She looked at her hands. I feel tired, doctor. That is also normal. Dr. Vance leaned forward. Her voice was gentle. Lieutenant, the mind has ways of protecting itself. Sometimes in extreme stress, it can create abilities. Heightened senses. A feeling of time slowing down. Some soldiers call it the zone. Did you experience anything like that? Anya almost smiled. It was a clever question. Yes, I suppose I did. Everything seemed very clear. Very slow. Dr. Vance wrote something down. I see. And this clarity, did it feel like it came from inside you? Or did it feel like something else? Like a tool you turned on? The room felt suddenly colder. Anya looked into the doctor's eyes. She saw intelligence there, and a deep curiosity. It felt like me, just a focused version of me. Of course. Dr. Vance smiled. It was a kind smile, but her eyes did not change. Thank you for your time, Lieutenant. That will be all. Anya left the office. She felt watched. The psych evaluation was a cover. Dr. Vance was not a normal doctor. She was looking for something. She was hunting for Arachne. That night Anya could not sleep. She lay in the dark. She thought about the jungle. She thought about the system. She thought about the men who made it. They were gone, wiped from records. But what about the others? Were there other subjects? Did any survive? Was she truly alone? A soft chime came from her door. It was very late. She got up and looked through the peephole. It was Cruz. She opened the door. He slipped in quickly. His face was tense. We have a problem, he said. I have a friend in communications. He heard things. The inquiry board is not just a board. It is being led by a General Talon. Anya felt a chill. She knew that name. General Marcus Talon. He was from Black Operations Command. He was a legend. And a ghost. He was also rumored to have been one of the architects of the Arachne project. He is here. On the carrier. Cruz said. He arrived an hour ago. He is not waiting for the inquiry. He wants to see you. Tomorrow. Privately. Anya sat down on the bed. So it is true. He is still involved. What do you want to do? Cruz asked. We can request a lawyer. We can demand a public inquiry. And say what? That I'm a secret weapon and they want me back. That would end with me in a lab forever. Or dead. Then what? I will see him. Anya said. I will look him in the eye. And I will deny everything. The meeting was in a secure lab deep in the carrier. 2 armed guards stood outside. They let Anya in and closed the door behind her. The room was full of screens. They showed data, biological scans, weapon trajectories. In the center of the room stood a man. He was older. His hair was gray. He wore a simple uniform with no rank. He looked at a screen showing the jungle from above. The 8 sniper positions were marked with red dots. Lieutenant Petrova, he said without turning around. Thank you for coming. General Talon, Anya said. He turned. His face was lined, but his eyes were bright and sharp. They looked at her like she was a complex machine. He smiled. It did not reach his eyes. You have caused quite a stir. 8 Vexian Hive snipers. A new record. The old record was 3. And that took a full spec ops team 6 hours. I got lucky, sir. Stop saying that. Talon said. His voice was still calm. It insults us both. I know what you did. I know how you did it. I know because I helped build it. He walked to a console and tapped a button. A 3-dimensional image appeared in the air. It was a human nervous system. Woven into it was a faint golden lattice. The Arachne system. Beautiful, isn't it? Talon said. A direct interface. Enhances sensory processing. Provides real-time tactical computation. Turns a good soldier into a perfect one. We thought it was the future. Why was it shut down? Anya asked. Ethical concerns. Talon said, waving a hand. The usual nonsense. The subjects, they said, were losing their humanity. Becoming too machine-like. The cost was too high. So they buried it. They tried to bury you too. Sent you to the frontier to be forgotten. But you remembered. Anya said, I never forgot. Talon turned off the image. He looked at her. You're not just a subject, Anya. You're the only successful one. The others they broke. Their minds could not handle the flow of data. But you adapted. You survived the purge. And now you've shown what you can do. What do you want from me, General? I wanted to come back. Talon said. The project is reopened. New funding. New resources. The war with the Vex is heating up. We need an edge. You can be that edge. You can train others. No. The word came out flat and hard. Talon looked surprised. Then, he looked amused. No, you do not understand. This is not a request. This is an order. You are a weapon of the fleet. You belong to us. I belong to no one. Anya said, I'm a soldier. I use my skills to save my men. That is all. The thing inside me is not a weapon. It is a part of me. And I will not let you turn it into a tool for your war. It is already a tool. Talon's voice lost its polite tone. You used it. You killed with it. You liked it. I can see it in your eyes. That calm. That power. You miss it. Anya did not answer. He was right. And that was why she had to say no. You have a choice, Lieutenant. Talon said. You can come willingly. You will have honor. You will have purpose. Or I can take you. And it will not be pleasant. The inquiry will find you unstable. A danger to yourself and others. You will be committed for study. For the rest of your life. It was a threat. A real one. Anya felt cold anger rise in her chest. Get out of my way, General. Talon smiled his cold smile. He pressed a button on his wrist. The door opened. The 2 guards stepped in. They were big. They had neural dampeners in their hands. Take her to holding cell 7. Talon said. She is not to speak to anyone. The guards moved toward her. Anya Eshmindrist. She could fight. But in this small room against dampeners she would lose. She had to think. As the first guard reached for her arm, she did not pull away. She looked at General Talon. You're making a mistake, she said. The guard grabbed her arm. The other raised the dampener. It hummed with a low sound. Then the lights went out. Complete darkness. An alarm began to blare. Red emergency lights flashed on. What is this? Talon snuckbith. In the flashing red light, Anya saw her chance. She drove her elbow into the guard's stomach. He grunted, and his grip loosened. She grabbed his wrist and twisted. The dampener fell to the floor. She kicked it away. The other guard lunged at her. She dropped low and swept his legs. He crashed into a console. Sparks flew. Talon was shouting into a comms unit. Security breach. Lab 9. Anya did not wait. She ran for the door. She slid into the hallway. The alarm was loud. People were running. But they were running away from the lab, not toward it. Something else was happening. She saw Cruz at the end of the hall. He waved at her frantically. Come on. He yelled over the alarm. She ran to him. What did you do? I called in a fake radiation leak in this sector. Everyone is evacuating. We have maybe 3 minutes before they realize it is a trick. You are crazy. I am your friend. Now move. They ran through the empty halls. They headed for the lower decks. The carrier was huge. They needed to hide. They needed a plan. They ducked into a maintenance closet. Cruz closed the door. They were in darkness. They will lock down the whole ship. Cruz Guispirth. They will find us. We need to get off the carrier. Anya said. How? Every shuttle bay will be guarded. Anya thought, her mind clicking into a familiar cold pattern. Not the main bays. The auxiliary bays. The one for emergency pods and cargo drones. They are too small. No navigation. There is a courier ship. Anya said. I saw it on the manifest when we landed. The Dart. It is fast. It is an auxiliary bay 3 for resupply. Do you know how to fly it? I can figure it out. Cruz took a deep breath. Okay, let's go. They moved through the maintenance tunnels. They avoided the main passages. After 20 minutes, they reached the door to auxiliary bay 3. Cruz looked through a small window. 2 guards. At the door. He said. Anya peeked. She saw them. They looked alert. Their weapons were ready. We need a distraction. Cruz said. No. Anya said. Her voice was quiet. She looked around. She saw a power conduit on the wall. It fed the bay doors. If we short it, it will cause a small arc flash. It will draw their attention for a few seconds. Cruz nodded. He used his knife to pry open the conduit cover. He touched 2 wires together. There was a bright blue flash and a pop. The lights in the bay flickered. The 2 guards turned toward the source of the flash. What was that? Now. Anya Vispert. They burst through the door. The guards turned, but they were too slow. Cruz tackled one. Anya disarmed the other with a quick move. She did not hurt them. She just took their weapons and pushed them into a storage locker, locking the door. The bay was small. In the middle sat the courier ship. It was sleek and shaped like a needle. Its name was painted on the side. The Dart. The access ramp was down. They ran up into the ship. The inside was tight. Just 2 seats and a small cargo area. Anya sat in the pilot's seat. She looked at the controls. They were different from the transports she knew, but the basics were the same. She started the power sequence. The console lit up. Come on, come on, Cruz said, looking back at the bay door. He was holding a rifle taken from a guard. The engines whined to life. A warning light flashed on a console. Bay doors locked. We need to open the doors. Cruz said. Anya scanned the controls. She found the external comms. She opened a channel to the bay control. Auxiliary Bay 3, this is Lieutenant Petrova. I have General Talon on board. We have an emergency. Open the bay doors immediately. There was a pause. Then a confused voice. Say again. You have General Talon. Affirmative. Medical emergency. He requires immediate transfer to the medical frigate. Open the doors now. That is an order. Another pause. Then the voice. Yes, ma'am. Opening doors. The big bay doors began to slide apart. The blackness of space appeared. Stars glittered coldly. Anya gripped the controls. She pushed the thrusters. The dart lifted from the deck and glided forward. As they cleared the doors, an alert blared on their console. Unauthorized departure. Unauthorized departure. All points stand by to intercept. They were out, but they were not safe. The carrier's defense systems would track them. Fighters would launch. Anya pushed the engines to full power. The small ship shot forward into the dark.